Hey, how's it going, everybody? Yeah, thought I'd hop on another live and just kind of talk about something a little bit different. A little bit different. Um, because of the way things are today, I don't know. I just had like a moment of clarity or an epiphany, if you guys want to say that. I just decided, a while ago, I was gonna watch Ready Player One. Probably one of my favorite current, not current, but like newer all-time movies. Ready Player One. There was a lot of nostalgic moments in that movie, but as I tweeted out, I'm not really doing a movie review. Um, we're gonna talk about the purpose of it. Like, what was the entire purpose of that movie? What did it show people? And what it showed people was an addiction to the digital world. See, it's kind of weird, and it's always a hit and miss with me and my channel, only because hey, what's up, Gene? Only because while I talk about mobile technology and I talk about like what Google is doing, what Apple is doing, and I talk about social media platforms and everything like that. Um, it almost seems weird to a lot of people when I start talking about things such as like, not always sticking to your digital straw man or straw woman. Um, that reference is key because everybody tends to live their life vicariously through social platforms. Um, to analyze this, why people do it, well, is obviously for the main reasons. Most of us aren't too happy with ourselves personally. Like, we love ourselves. Don't get me wrong. Some people may love themselves more than other people do. Um, but there are things about us that we would want to change. And one of the things that was founded in the digital world, such as Facebook and Twitter and all these places, is that you can emulate what you want people to see you as. You know what I mean? It's not hard for someone to go out there into the world and fake that they're wealthy. It's not hard for them to do it. I mean, literally, they can go and like find like one of those extreme sports car rental places. They can go and like take a picture of themselves with a Lamborghini, um, with a Beamer, whatever car that they want people to think that they have. They can take a picture with it. They can post it to social, and people's first perception of that post is going to be like, "Well, this person's loaded, or they got money. They got money to live relaxed." But this person who went ahead and did this literally could be like living paycheck to paycheck, flipping burgers. you know but that is the thing about social media that is part of it today, that we tend to live the life that we want to live through a digital world and the output that we put into it versus who we really are as a person, right? Which is why, like, for me, I try to be transparent with everybody who follows me on YouTube and other social platforms. I'm pretty transparent about it because I don't want people to get the wrong idea of me. you know One of the reasons why that I'm open to people and letting them know that I'm a poor person, that I'm not wealthy or anything like that, is because in the past, when I never made mention of that, people's perception was like, when I was buying Boost mobile phones and unboxing them and reviewing them and using them and doing reviews on them, and then people, when I slowed down because I didn't have the money to do it, and people were just like questioning, why wasn't I buying these phones anymore? Like, what's up? You know what I mean? If I went ahead and opened up the ability in the live stream to allow super chats and super stickers, and people were wondering why I was doing that. And it's like, well, I mean, I like doing this, and this, if I can make money on this, I'm going to do that. Um, but I'm not rich. I'm not wealthy. I'm not, and YouTube is not giving wealth. Trust me, it's not. Um, but I wanted people to understand the type of person that I am. And also, when I went ahead and talked about a specific phone and how you can do workarounds to make the experience with that phone much better, it wasn't just a load of bullshit that I was feeding people, because I was like, showing with them like, hey, I'm not rich to go out and buy the latest iPhone or buy, the latest Android flagship or even like the latest Pixel. I don't have that kind of money to do that. So if I can show you how you can get a better experience with a phone that is mid-range or budget, I was doing that, and I wanted to do that. It's because I'm not wealthy. You know what I mean? But that has to do with the type of culture that we're living in today, the type of culture that we have now. Everything is built around what's called the digital straw man. Um, yes, I kind of adapted that from the straw man. If you guys don't know what that is, look it up on Google. It has to do with your social and everything that has to do with government. But aside from that, we've now built another straw man or straw woman, and that is the digital one, our avatars to the world. And all this came to me while I was just sitting there, just chilling for a Saturday, watching Ready Player One, and looking at it. I'm like, they're not far off on how they depict people. If there was a virtual world that we could all go to called the Oasis, how would we behave both in a digital world, in our avatar self, and in the real world when we're separated from it? And you see people, getting really butthurt when they zero out in the game and lose everything that they've acquired, artifacts, weaponry, you name it. When you're killed in the Oasis, everything that you have collected in your time being in the Oasis, you lose it all. You start from zero. You're level zero again. You have to level back up the way you did the first time. And so watching people lose their shit is like really the same way when it comes to social media. I have seen people cry because their Instagram account got taken down and they're like, all their followers are gone and this, that, and the third, and they're Instagram influencers. And they would cry, and some people would look at them and say, well, why are you crying? Just rebuild it. But that's a logical point of view. People have now invested emotionally into these platforms and to try and work as hard as they can to build themselves up, to be marketable, to shortcut the system, to obtain wealth. Because wealth was something that, way, way, way back in the day before the digital world took over, wealth was something that we would look at and be like, okay, we have to invent something cool, and then we have to see if the world wants it and pray that the world demands it, and then supply that demand. That was one of the only narrow roads to getting to extreme wealth. Now, with the digital world, we can amass wealth without having to go to that route. We could become wealthy making content on YouTube, right? If you make content on YouTube and it's catchy and lots of people gravitate towards it and subscribe to you, but ultimately the big factor here, they watch your videos and live stream, you can ascend the ranks of YouTube, getting into the top 20, and you could be making $1 million in a year just off YouTube videos. It's possible. That's what everyone kind of like chases after. Lots of people come on YouTube and say that they don't really care about the money, i.e. myself have said that in the live streams. And, to be honest, the money isn't so important to me. When I say that I don't care about the money, what I'm saying is that it's not so important to me that I would abandon time with my family. I would abandon time with friends. I would completely just immerse myself in YouTube, because you have to have an outside life from the digital world. You have to separate yourself from your online avatar, and you just have to live a real life. Or what's the point of living? That is the biggest question to always ask, is what is the point of living if you're not living your best life? And your best life doesn't mean that you're living in a mansion and that you're crossing 7 figures every year. That's not living your best life. But living your best life is when you're living your life of moments that you take with you to the grave on your very last time in this world. It is the thing that you get to see before you go. Since they say your life flashes before your eyes before you pass, then it's those things that are going to matter then. And so I look at all this. I look at technology today, and I'm like amazed on just how far technology has grown. And then I also start to look at the past. And I look at today's behavior, and I look at the behaviors in the past. And because today there's so many methods to get your point across, so many people that just want to be the next viral hit on any social platform, or want their post to go viral, because being viral for some reason gives you some sort of status in this world, that when you say that you made a viral post, a post that was shared all over social platforms, or you made a viral video, whatever, you feel accomplished to a degree in things. And, you know, people today have it much easier to express their emotions and thoughts and know that someone out there is listening or reading what they have to say or what they typed. Um, when we were younger, we really didn't have that. I mean, I could be in the Philippines on Clark Air Force Base in 1991 and say to myself that, my good friend Lorenzo was treated differently and treated bad, and the entire United States is not going to have it on the news and circling and becoming viral. Just only those people that are around me, so those on the playground, would know what I said. And that's how things was in the past. But while people use technology today to further for their own selves, maybe they'll go and they'll have like a real meaningful cause of what they're trying to share and project out there. But really, behind all of it, they're as cold as, yeah, I just said it to set it because it sounds like it would get catchy and then I would go viral. It's those types of things that we deal with today. Everyone wanting to be viral, everybody wanting to be political correct, everyone wanting to be a social justice warrior. But when you look back, before all this digital world took over, the world wasn't perfect. And I'll say that right now again. The world wasn't perfect, but the world today is not perfect either. I can call out today on so much hypocritical things. People called out for the actions that they do, and then the people who call them out for those actions end up doing the same thing that they're calling out somebody for. A lot of hypocrite and stuff like that happens today, but back then, we didn't worry too much about that. We didn't, we weren't always up in everybody's business. Um, we weren't. I mean, if someone's going to be like, you're going to tell me that racism didn't exist back then, it did, just like it does now. It did. It's just it's not on everybody's tongue, and not everybody is accused of it for things. You really had to do something that would really get you labeled as a racist, to be labeled as that. If like, if Asians eat duck, you know what I mean? Like, just because somebody ordered a duck, or said or somebody said that a duck was disgusting, they weren't automatically called a racist against Asians because they think duck tastes nasty or something like that. Like, no, today people do that shit. Back then, no, it wasn't like that. You really had to really say certain descriptive words that would get you in trouble for that and accused of that. But we didn't spend our time worrying about that. I mean, back then, we had our bad times, but we also had our good. We had people that were tolerable to other people. We had people that respected people's boundaries, and we had people that were okay with other people disagreeing with them. There wasn't a huge thing. We didn't go and make a big freaking case out of it. And even if two people disagreed on a certain subject back then, could still be really, really good, if not best friends, because they didn't look at the one thing that differentiated them. They looked at the things that brought them together. And we weren't worried about text messaging and what we looked like on social media, because there was no social media. People back then were only concerned of trying to live their best life, obtaining goals and dreams that they wanted to work hard for. Children, they played with things like toys, Ninja Turtles and Batman and Robin, Superman. They read comic books, they rode bicycles and rode skateboards and things like that. They were outside majority of the time, not inside their homes. They were out having fun and just not worried about the bullshit of the world. What's sad today is seeing a lot of young kids being political. Like seeing a 12-year-old talk politics with another 12-year-old just because they watch the news with their mom and dad, and they take whatever their parents perceive this news to be. I wish we were back in the 90s and all that, or better yet, the 80s. I wish that too. I think that's why I'm having this live stream and just kind of opening up and just pouring my heart out. I really, really miss those days. I miss the days where The most exciting thing on the block was when you heard the ice cream truck coming down the road. So you ran quickly in your house to ask your mom or dad if they had a couple of dollars so you can buy something from the ice cream truck. I miss going to the movies on a Saturday night with my dad to see Batman and Batman Returns and Batman Forever, or even my dad kind of sharing something he thought that might be cool to me, taking me to go see Last of the Mohicans, a movie that you wouldn't think a kid would be into, but a kid ends up getting into it because of the action and the storytelling. I miss the days where it was just fun to go to the beach and stop at a hot dog stand and buy you a hot dog and an ice cold Coke and just sit there and watch the waves crash against the shoreline and watch people having fun throwing frisbees, playing volleyball. I miss the days where you would meet up with your friends on the block with scooters and stuff like that, and you just mock race. I miss the days where your parents would tell you, get dressed, we're going to a barbecue, and you watched your mom and dad hang out with other adults and have a few beers and barbecue cooking on the grill and kids meeting new kids to become friends with and running around and playing. We don't have that shit anymore. We don't have it anymore. Everybody wants to be focused on what sets everybody apart, and that's the shit that really pisses me off. Like, for me, I've said this before, and people have heard me on my political stance, but that's a political stand that doesn't put a block up where somebody can't be my friend because they disagree with me. I really could care less what people think politically, religiously, or whatever. I don't let those things drive a wedge between me and people, because there are more to people than just political sides, religious sides, and family beliefs. There's more to people than just that. And, when I was growing up, people were more accepting. They were more accepting. Sure, you had your occasional bullies and idiots, who just wanted to pick on people because they were different. I mean, I got picked on in fifth grade because I still played with toys, while like half the guys in my fifth grade class were trying to act like they were 13, 14-year-olds. So they were trying to heavily convince girls in our class that they don't play with toys anymore. They only play like basketball or football, but they don't play with toys. They don't collect comics, stuff like that. So I was like the odd man out, sort of, but not really, because they didn't spend their days to alienate me from the rest of the fifth grade student body. Yeah, sure, they picked on me a little bit, but it was never like an everyday thing. It was never that. And I never, we didn't have to worry about stupid things like rumors going around on social media or people creating fake accounts to troll other people. We didn't have to worry about that shit. I would say kids from the 90s and from the 80s and before are a hell of a lot tougher than the kids of this generation today. And that's not trying to start some online war with a bunch of kids today. That's me being real. Because in my day growing up, when you had a problem with somebody, you made it known to their face you had a problem with them. You didn't go and create fake profiles on social platforms to talk shit about them. There was none of that. If you didn't like somebody and you wanted that person to know, well, then for a guy, you had to sack up, grow a set of nuts, and say what you got to say. And if you were a person picked on, well, you learned courage. You learned bravery. Because sure, you would stand around and you would take that crap for them for a while, but eventually, just like, any bottle that gets drops of water dropped into it, eventually the bottle gets full and it just overflows. And for someone like me who was picked on in elementary school, eventually, I got sick of it and I stood up for myself. So courage, bravery, and you finally learned what kind of strength you had. And of course, yeah, then I decided, I ended up being a little jackass afterwards, getting into trouble in my adolescent years. But, I miss those days where we weren't concerned about the dumbest things and we didn't separate because of the dumbest reasons. 4th of July fireworks displays was amazing. New Year's fireworks in the neighborhood was awesome. I miss those days. I miss AMW. I mean, yeah, when I went to Vegas last weekend, on the way back, which was Monday, we came across an AMW restaurant, and I went inside and I bought me and the family something to eat. My daughters finally got to eat a cheeseburger that was made at an AMW fast food restaurant. Sadly, because of the coronavirus, they didn't have any frosty mugs for root beers because And my lady was like, "What are we all gonna drink?" And I told her, "We're at AMW. We're ordering food. Everyone's getting root beer. I'm diabetic. I'm getting a root beer." So we all got root beer, but we uh we didn't get them in a frosty mug because that's what I loved about AMW. If you got Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Seven Up, whatever, that came in like a regular AMW, cardboard cup that you get at any fast food restaurant. But if you ordered your meal and you wanted a root beer, they had these AMW glass mugs that they froze. So when they took it out of the freezer, it was like, oh my God, it was a frosty mug. And they would then, grab the little lever and pull down the latch to fill your cup up with root beer. And it was awesome. One of my favorite times growing up was when my dad used to take me to Hickam Air Force Base in Hawaii. We used to go to the Hickam Beach, and where Hickam Beach is at, the extended part of the runway where planes would land, that's where they would land at. So very close by. And because Hickam Air Force Base shared space with the international airport, they shared the runways. So we used to watch C-5s come in and land. We used to watch C-17s come down and land. And then commercial flights would come in. And one of my favorite times was my dad. We would just sit there. We'd buy a couple of hot dogs, like 2 cans of Coke. We would sit there on the hood of the car and watch these planes land. And my dad would quiz me to see if I knew what model plane was landing. If it was, was that 727, 757, 747, if it was a DC-10, and then of course like the military planes, like I said, C-5, C-17s, KC-130s. We would see if they were landing, and he would always quiz me on it. And it was just something that me and my dad would do just for fun. Just my dad spending time with me, trying to talk to me and figure out what's going on in my head. We don't have that today. I'm sure there's people out there that keep it real, that still do that type of stuff for their kids. But then there's people today that's just like heavily concerned with things like this. Like this is in their hands. And so because they don't want to be bothered by their kids, they get another one of these and they stick it in their kids' hands. And then everyone is just staring at this. Kind of like Ready Player One, where everyone has a virtual visor so they can be in the Oasis, right? Might as well just be your virtual visor and just stick it in front of your head like that all day long, and just might as well. With the way that things are going today, I worry about what is going to be for my kids in the future. I don't regret having kids. I never will. I never will regret having my kids. But I regret the type of world I brought them to. I regret the world that they're trying to grow up in. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. My kids, my daughters, they're outcast in their elementary school. They don't have a lot of friends. Sometimes, and it really breaks my heart when I hear that. But it's that way for them because, for my oldest daughter, she doesn't need to know what sex is right now. She doesn't need to know about that type of stuff. She doesn't need to be concerned about twerking and other stuff that her classmates talk about. She likes playing Among Us. She likes playing Roblox. She likes playing with her unicorn toys. She's heavy into unicorns and whatnot. And she's considered a social outcast because she's not with today's modern stuff. Her favorite type of music is not hip hop or rap. It's sure as hell ain't Cardi B. Cardi B's not her hero. She's not into that. And it angers me because, it's not fair. Like, she has to be outcasted because she doesn't want to be, what today's generation of kids her age are. Her hero's not Cardi B. And so she's like considered weird because she doesn't even know who Cardi B is. My youngest daughter still kind of holds on to her young childness, like when they're like 3-4 years old, the way she talks. I don't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? I mean, she doesn't have a speech problem, nothing like that. She just likes to be childlike. And, it just frustrates the hell out of me. And I know the same thing is going to happen with my youngest son because he's not concerned with the woman's anatomy. He's not concerned with things like that. His thing is, Spider-Man and Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He likes playing Roblox. And yeah, he's not concerned about the street life. He's not trying to be hard. He's not trying to be tough. You know, he's a 5-year-old. Just what a 5-year-old my day growing up was like. And it really pisses me off that, I got to hear my daughter wonder, if she really is weird because she's not into those things. And I have to sit her down and talk to her and tell her, like, hey, you be who you are. Never mind what everyone else thinks. Because just because they think that you might be weird doesn't mean that what they're saying is true. Everybody is different. We're not all born the same. We're not all wired the same way. And people kind of forget that, and people want to trample on other people's thoughts and what they think. It's like, oh, you don't agree with me, so screw you. You're not my friend anymore. Or, oh, you don't support President Biden. Fuck you. You're not my friend anymore. Like, that's some stupid shit to be fighting about. That is some stupid shit to be ending friendships about. Quite frankly, why is it that we are trying to demolish, the joy and celebration of individualism? Because we balanced that shit back in the day. We celebrated somebody for rising above for the occasion, but we never exiled people for being team players. We balanced that shit out. But today, everyone wants you to think a certain way, and if you don't, you're an enemy. If you don't, forget the years of friendship we had. Goodbye, we're done. It's insane. It is insane that everybody wants everyone to think the same way, Like, some people today are panicking because our state lifted the mandate to wear masks. So now everyone's walking around talking about, oh, aren't you afraid to go outside with no mask? No, I'm not afraid. Not afraid one bit. Why would I be afraid? It's almost as if people try to control so much that they forget some things are beyond their control. Certain things that could just take their life away was beyond their control. You can't control a virus. Sorry to the world that thinks they can, that thinks that if everyone put a damn muzzle on their mouth and whatever, it's going to save populations. This thing is going to do what it wants to do. It's going to do what it wants to do. I mean, I'll put it straight out there for people. You put a mask on, you go 6 feet apart. Does that completely spare you from catching it? No, because I put a mask on every day I go out and go to a store and walk around. I use hand sanitizer. I kept my distance from strangers. And I still ended up getting COVID. And my lady ended up getting COVID. So come on now. Anyone who puts 100% faith in wearing masks, you're sadly mistaken. Does it help some? Possibly, but it doesn't fully protect you. And then people want to go and trample on other people because other people are tired of wearing masks, because people are getting things such as pneumonia from constantly breathing through that mask and inhaling back moisture into their lungs that cause a growth of fungus in their lungs, which then puts them ill into the hospital for pneumonia. Like, I am sick of today of where people feel like that they have a right to tell you what to do. Sure, I can't stop people from having an opinion. If I go out and walk into Walmart with no mask on or whatever, they have a right to have an opinion in their head to say, hey, look at that guy. That guy's a dumbass. He has no respect for people, and he's going to catch the COVID and he's going to die. And so what? They have that thought in their head. You can't control people's thoughts, but there's a difference from a person having a thought to a person coming up to me and saying exactly those words to my face and trying to force me to do something that I don't want to do. Because I'm not out here telling people what they need to fucking do. And that includes the mobile tech side of things that I talk about. I don't tell people because I like pixels, you got to fucking buy a pixel or you're stupid. I don't go and tell people like, oh yeah, you got to buy a fucking iPhone or you ain't shit. You know what I mean? When did it become okay for today for other people to try to dictate your lives? Why can't we get out of that mentality and say, okay, fuck it. I mean, Prime example, Michael and I disagree on certain things. We disagree on certain, political point of views, but he's not exiled. I don't go and say, get off my live stream, Michael, because you support this or that. Like, no, I'm not. I don't do that. And so far, only a few people have done that to me. Once we become adults, we are doing good with a home to live in while the bullies are sitting in jail for spending their life acting like a bunch of screw ups. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't even wish bad on those who picked on me. I wish that they had an epiphany themselves and realized that all the pain and suffering they caused other people wasn't right, and hopefully that they are very apologetic for the things that they've done. That's all I hope for them. You know what I mean? I wouldn't wish anything superly bad on anybody. I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't want someone to be seriously hurt, just because I have a vendetta against them. Like, no. If you wonder why I keep waving my hands or whatever, there's this tiny little bug that's like flying around me. He's just annoying the crap out of me. I don't know how he got in here. Probably the kids left the front door open, taking out the trash, and he flew in here to enjoy the air conditioning. It is getting warm here in Arizona. Get the hell away from me. But anyways, I am sick and tired of just eking my way through life, trying to, protect my kids from all the things that I feel is idiotic and stupid. Gangs, underage sex, all that stuff. They say that when you become an adult, all the things that you did in your adolescent years, you start to see the stupidity in them and you start to resent them. Yeah, I resent them now. That's because the older you get, the wiser you get. The more you experience things in life, the more you start to understand those who came before you, who tried to help you and tried to protect you from the things that they probably went through. Yeah, this is where you usually say, like, damn, I should have listened, But this is part of growing up. This is part of learning about life. You have to experience life to learn from it. Some things you can help the younger generation avoid, things that they really don't need to go through. Other things they have to face in life to understand, so they know for themselves, and so they can probably teach it better to the younger ones. We're in a heightened state in the world right now. As the Joker says, we live in a society today where we are extremely judgmental, quick to persecute, assume people guilty instead of innocent before proven guilty. We live in a society today where we really focus on our differences, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically. We live in a world today where we feel like that we're all superheroes. Like when one person thinks a certain way and we feel the way that they're thinking is wrong, we go out of our way to change that person's thought or condemn them for their thoughts. We do a lot of this today, a lot of this, but not a lot of this. We don't look to our own selves for the things that we do. We don't ever stop to think if the things that we're saying, are hypocritical, because we tend to do the same things that we're accusing other people's for. We totally look to bend the law to fit our narrative instead of respecting the law as it's said. We tend to use other people's pains to mask our own greed. We use other people's race to fight our battles, to form allegiances without really caring to their needs and to how they're treated. Like right now, okay, I'll be honest, right now, this whole Stop Asian Hate thing, I'm totally fucking offended by that. But not because of the message, not because of the hashtag Stop Asian Hate and what happened in Georgia. I'm offended by that because, everyone jumps on the bandwagon today to say Stop Asian Hate. And that's fine. For once in my life, I got to see that because I'm half Thai. In places that I grew up at, people knew that I was Asian. And I got treated like shit. I got treated like shit a lot. So people will be like, well, Tito, then why are you offended by the Stop the Asian Hate thing? Because it's a little too fucking late. And I know that this movement, this cause for the movement isn't really beneficial for Asians. It's beneficial to push another fucking agenda politically. That's all it is. Because if Stop Asian Hate was really something that people really in their heart of hearts believed, if it really fucking mattered to a lot of people nowadays, what happened to what? Why didn't it go viral when that Chinese kid was it in Chicago when he got jumped by 7 people, by 7 fucking people, 7 guys? They try to portray it on the news as a hate crime, but when you look at the 7 people that were arrested, 2 of them were Asians themselves. One of them was white. There was a black guy there. It was a mix of different races. So it really wasn't a racist motivated attack, But the Chinese guy, who obviously is from China, because you can hear it in his voice and his dialect, you can tell bad English and things like that. You can tell, and they punched him in the face. They tried to take his backpack from him. They took his shoes. They assaulted him for 5 minutes in an alleyway. And yeah, the video of it went viral. And some of the people that were involved who assaulted this young man, they were found and they were arrested. But like anything that goes viral, anything like that, it only took a buzz for 30 days and then it fucking disappeared off the internet. I didn't see nobody then hashtag Stop Asian Hate. I didn't see people rally for that then. What about the countless years where I was called yellow? What about the countless years where people mistook me and called me a gook when, I'm not? My mother's from Thailand. My mom is Thai. My older sister is half Thai. I am half Thai. So people calling me a chink, calling me a slope. I dealt with that growing up. Growing up in certain places. Not a lot of it in the Philippines, because obviously in the Philippines, there's Asians that live there. Guam. But like when I came to the mainland, I dealt with a lot of that. And back then no one gave a shit. So why all of a sudden now do people give a shit? That's what offends me. That's what it offends me. Because it's not 100% about teaching people to stop hating Asian people, to stop making fun of Asian people, to not use the stereotypical bullshit all the time of like, oh, he's Asian, he don't know how to drive. Or how do you blind that guy? Get 2 toothpicks and stick it in front of his eyes. Like, the message today is not 100% motivated on stopping people from stereotyping Asians and hating Asians. There is a political thing behind it. Anytime a specific race is being attacked for something, today's government tends to take that and launch that as a launching pad to push their own fucking agendas. It doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democratic. I don't want to hear that shit in the comments. They all do it. Government, politicians all do the same shit. They find something to latch onto. They push it to push an agenda that they already had in their mind that is just bullshit. And so that's why I find it offensive. That's why I'm offended by it. It's not that I don't support it. It's just I know what's behind it. And it's not 100% for Asians, because a year from now, no one's going to give a fuck about Stop Asian Hate. And I'm going to hear the same shit again said towards not only just myself, but other Asians that I see. I can go to a restaurant and eat, and somebody is going to say something derogatory and stupid to a Chinese waiter. I know this because I see it all the fucking time when I go to restaurants to eat, where I'm craving either Chinese food or Vietnamese food or Cambodian food. Wherever I go there, first of all, they're all labeled Chinese. Like people don't even take the time to actually notice the differences between them. And then there's always a derogatory thing made. And that is going to happen a year from now. So, I mean, it's not a like, why should you try to stop it? Because we've been trying to fucking stop it for years. We've been trying to stop it for a long time. I tried to, when I was young, I used to think that the reason why people hated Asians and made fun of us was because they didn't know much of our culture. And so I used to invite my friends over because my mom would make some hella badass Thai food. We're talking about lap, which is a really, really, really awesome dish. But the way that we eat it in Thailand is not the way you eat it at Thai restaurants. Like in Thai restaurants, they call it larb, L-A-R-B, and it's cooked. The meat is cooked. In actual Thailand, that dish is raw served. It is cut up meat. The meat is raw. It is soaked in slight vinegar, lemon juice, salt, and Thai red chili peppers and soy sauce. And the lemon juice and the salt kills bacteria. You have to leave it in the fridge soaking for, I think, like a day for it to actually be edible raw. And you eat it with sticky rice. You know, there's Nyam, which is another raw meat dish that I love to eat. Of course, there's the basic shit you find in Thai restaurants like pad thai or tom yum. You know, there's different ones, but you know, my mom would always cook. I would always invite my friends over to eat dinner so they can try something new, and then you know, like for us for Thai people in Thailand, we only have 2 seasons in Thailand, the dry season and wet season. And so there's a thing that, you know, I used to go to with my mom all the time, and that was called the Thai Water Festival. It was to celebrate the dry season ending and the wet season coming, because in Thailand they had a lot of monsoons. And so what we would do is, of course, you know, there would be a stage, there would be some dancing, like some traditional Thai dancing. My mom used to dance on stage. And then you just like throw water on each other, like you get like buckets of water and just like throw it on each other. And nobody got mad. Nobody got pissed off. No one got mad. Like, you ruined my outfit. Like, no, you know, they'll just do it. When Trump was in office, Mexicans were being targeted in all public places. I differ with that. Actually, Michael, I'm gonna call bullshit on that, because Mexicans have been targeted before Trump was in office. Mexicans were targeted when Obama was in office. Obama was one of the presidents who actually deported a lot of fucking Mexicans. So let's get real about shit. All right. I'm sick and tired of people bringing up Trump. Trump, get the fuck over it. He ain't even president no more. He's not. Right? Biden's in office right now. And even then, there's more shit going on. So Mexicans have been targeted for the longest fucking time. They've been targeted in the 90s. It's not just one man. Everyone gotta stop blaming one fucking man for the country's stupidity, right? Everybody is fucking stupid in this world. Everybody has a racial thought. Everybody does racial things. All right? Let's just be real and call it what it is. Okay? People look at me and they fucking make assumptions about me, and then they say some stereotypical shit regards to me that is completely of it. And I'm sure that it's happened to you before, Michael, and I'm sure it's happened to Gene before, and I'm sure that it's happened to TJ, and it's happened to a lot of people. Like, one man is not responsible for everyone's thought process. See, that's the problem today. Everyone's been taught to hate Donald Trump so bad that they want to blame him for everything that goes wrong. But one man doesn't control the minds of everybody else. If you dislike that Mexicans were targeted, then think about the people that were in during that time that were doing it. That's all I'm going to say, bro. That's all I'm going to say. So I still get targeted to this day, and I get caught, and I get caught called a racial slur all the damn time. But I just look the other way. Don't even try to face it. Try to make that person understand. Yeah. But I mean, it's not Trump. It's not one person. That man did not have millions of people thinking a certain way. Okay. This is the problem today also, is that self-responsibility. Go back home, go back to your country. Where were you born? Speak English. This shit needs to stop. And you know what? And it'll still be here long after. Trump is not the guy that went around and freaking infected people's heads with this shit. This shit has been around for the longest time, Michael. It really has. It's been around for the longest time. I get told that I don't understand English, or I get told to learn fucking English before they even hear me speak. And then when they hear me speak, all of a sudden they're so fucking shocked because my English is pretty fucking clear. You know, it is not one person, Michael. We got to stop blaming one person for the way that everybody acts. Everybody does not want to take responsibility for the things that they do wrong. As like me, if someone was going to tell me, Tito, did you sit here and tell me that you never had a racist thought in your head? I have. You know what I mean? When I got locked up in juvie, there was a guy, he was from Laos. He was full Laos. And Thailand and Laos, they're bordering countries. And at times their people are at war with each other. So Laotians and Thai people sometimes don't get along. If I called him a fucking rice noodle, that's being freaking racist right there. See, people can say that's racist. And yes, people have racist thoughts. Other people are going to try to denounce that and say, no, I never have. But when you look at somebody like me and you tell me to go suck on a taco, where the fuck did that come from? We need to worry about ourselves. That's why things are the way they are today. A lot of finger pointing, a lot of you're doing wrong and you're doing wrong and you're doing this or this is happening because of that man. But nobody wants to take responsibility for their actions. No one ever wants to stop to think, maybe I'm portraying something here that's teaching my kids to be a certain way. That's why there's more of this shit going on. Like, when does it become a problem to look to thy own self? Maybe you don't have it in you to change the entire fucking world. Fuck, I know that this live stream wouldn't change everybody's hearts in this country to get along. Do I pray for it? Yes. Do I wish for it every day? Do I wish for violence to stop? Yeah, I do. I wish for it every fucking day. The other day, I couldn't get my girls from the van that drops them off because my girls go to a school that's out of the district that I live in, that the schools hired drivers to bring them from like my house to the school and back. And after school, they were on their way home, but they couldn't come in the apartment complex because it was taped off by police. There was a standoff between Phoenix police and a Mexican guy, because a Mexican guy and a white guy got into an argument. The white guy tried to hit the Mexican dude with a hammer, and the Mexican ran in his house, came back out with a knife, and went after the white guy. And so the white guy got arrested, but the Mexican guy barricaded himself in his apartment here. And so there was a standoff, literally a freaking standoff for like an hour and a half. My girls were trapped in the van with the driver for an hour and a half, and the police would not let me leave my apartment to go get my kids. And, you know, I don't know what the argument started over, but I'm just tired of senseless violence, and I'm tired of just these idiotic point of views and things that people think in their head that they're better than everybody else, or they should be better than other people. Like, I'm tired of that. But because I feel that way, it doesn't mean that I want to go and strip everybody in this country of their guns, or or believe that we should be a society where our government controls us or anything like that. No, I have hope that in men and women, they can make the right choices and change themselves. That, that one day they won't feel weird sitting at a table near me to eat, or they won't look at me and think just because I wear a shirt that has Spawn on it and basketball shorts that, I could possibly be someone that's going to rob them. And so they're going to cling on to all their stuff real tightly because they're afraid. But I'm not going to take away people's freedoms just to get some semblance of security and safety. That's not how I roll. I hate today and how things is going today. And I miss a lot of the way things were, but nothing stays the same forever. So I know that we couldn't just stay that way. We'll eventually change. Now, people are going to say that people need to adapt to the way things are now. No, you don't adapt to the way things are right now. You change it if it's not right. So I tell people, I don't give a damn what you believe. You can believe whatever you want to believe. And here on my channel, you can say it. Whether I disagree with you, you can say it, because I will not block, kick you off. Unless you're personally attacking me, like being stupid with me in the chat, then yeah, you'll get the boot. But if you're like Michael said, it's Trump's fault for what, for Mexicans being targeted, I'm not going to kick him off of here just because he said that, just because I disagree with him. There's no reason to. Michael's my friend. So let me see some of this. Okay, Gene says, but why are we not trying to stop judging us because we talk differently or look differently and dress differently? I get that told to be several times. This has to stop. It has to stop, but it also has to stop on both sides, right? Like, for instance, let's take the LGBTQ community. All they ever wanted was for people to stop judging them and for people to respect them. Now I'm totally cool with that. You know what I mean? I'm cool with it. They want to have, their pride parades. I'm cool with it. I think it's great. They should be able to be proud of who they are and what they choose in life. The thing that I don't like is where I can't even, go to an event downtown here, Phoenix, with my daughters and my sons because they're having a pride parade and a guy wants to wear a thong with, his pubes and stuff sticking out, and he wants to walk up in front of my little kids and shake it in front of them. Like, okay, I get it. You guys want people to stop judging you and disrespecting you and assaulting you because, you choose to have a same-sex partner or you choose to identify as a different sex. I'm cool with that. That's totally fine. But that doesn't give you the right to put nipple tassels on your man tits and walk up and shake it in front of my kids. Why does my kids need to see that? Why does my kids need to know that you're gay or you're a lesbian or you're transgender? Why do my kids need to know that you are? Okay. I thought the whole movement was to protect the community and to ask for peace between heterosexuals and homosexuals. Why all of a sudden now does it have to be like you have to acknowledge me that I'm gay or that I'm a lesbian? Like, what the fuck changed? And why is it that people are straight are condemned in public by those people who used to scream that they were oppressed by straight people? You see what I'm saying? It's a pendulum that swings back and forth, and people don't want to come together and stop that pendulum from swinging and keep it centered. When you're on the receiving end of injustice, you want to scream, shout, and rally back. But then when the pendulum swings the other way, you will commit the same things that those that persecuted you did. You would then commit it back to them. Makes you no better than them. Two wrongs don't make a right. So what the hell is going on today? I noticed after Trump went into office, we had too many Karens on YouTube. People who think it is their right to walk into stores and yell racist and hateful and illegal stuff. That's been going on before Trump. I've seen that here in Arizona before he was elected president, before he even was running for president. I've seen what people refer to as Karens, which I think is a stupid thing. Why can't you just say an idiot? Why does it have to be given a name? Because, by you using the term Karen, there are women out there named Karen, and with that name, they are automatically going to be judged for people to say, "Hey, she's like the rest of these idiots who went and try to break up a barbecue, saying that you can't use charcoal, you have to use gas or whatever." That stupid lady. See, I don't refer to people as Karens. That's dangerous to do that. It's very fucking dangerous. Because I know a woman who's named Karen, and she's not like that. But if I was to call her Karen in public, you know how many people would automatically judge her and think that she's one of these lunatics that causes this stupidity? So here's the thing about it. The stupid people like that got attention during a time when they wanted to use it to further a narrative they wanted the rest of America to know. These things have happened all the fucking time. There were people who assumed that that I'm a gangster and a thief and a killer just because of the way I dress. I wore Jinko jeans with Ben Davis shirts and had an undercut with my hair slicked back with gel and a visor cap. And people would think that I'm totally bad when technically, I was a decent kid. I got into trouble, but I was never wanting to actually physically and intentionally hurt somebody just for my own personal fun. But I was judged that way. Yeah, it's been around for the longest time. It's just the news media didn't go after these things as news to broadcast on the news to push an agenda. See, they wanted everyone to be like, well, Trump's in office now, so we're going to bring up race and divide everybody. And we're going to bring up race wars. And then, yeah, any bit of stupid news like a lady complaining about a bunch of black guys having a barbecue at a park, we're going to start making that headline news to further push this agenda that this just started now, when it's been going on for years. We have had stupid people for years. It is not Trump. You cannot blame this guy for how people think. It's just like right now, okay? Let's take it for example. So let's say that what do we do? Let me think of one. I don't want to be too brutal on it. All right, so let's talk about kids in cages, right? Um, the kids in cages and things like that. Then Biden's for that. Does that mean that you're a person that wants to lock kids in cages, Michael? Obviously not, right? You wouldn't be okay with kids locked in cages. You wouldn't be okay with kids taken away from their family because they crossed a border to a country illegally. You wouldn't want to put anybody in cages. Do you see what I'm saying? Just because Biden's okay with it, just because Obama did it, doesn't mean that you're okay with it. Doesn't mean that they control your mind. So I'm just going to say, people do stupid things. Can't throw it on a president. Former president, future president, past president, can't throw it on them. Can't say it's because of them. It's not them. It's the person that's doing it. Everybody is responsible for their own actions. And that's the type of thinking that needs to go on today. People need to start assuming responsibility for their behaviors and stop trying to find an excuse to alleviate them from the problem. Oh, yeah, she's racist towards a couple of black guys having a barbecue in the park. So it was Donald Trump's fault because the news media says that Trump is racist. So it's his fault. It's all his fault that she did that. No, it's not. They've been out for the longest time. I mean, Michael, I've been called racist. I've been called racist because of Donald Trump's policies that I agree with. And when people hear that, they're like, oh, you're fucking racist. Really? I'm racist? I'm racist because I support a policy? They're like, yeah, you hate all Mexicans and you hate all blacks. Really, I do. Really. Like, come on. That's the type of mentality that we have today. We accuse people of things that they're not even guilty of because we disagree with them. And then we blame somebody for the behaviors of the massive amount of people when we don't actually let them be held for accountability for their own actions and behaviors. This is a coward's way of doing things. I want to go and destroy an Asian shop, but I'm not going to take the fault for it. Everyone's going to help me out by blaming it on Donald Trump. Hell, I heard that Donald Trump's being blamed for the shooting in Georgia for those Asian shops that got shot up at, and people were hurt and killed. They're already saying that's because of Donald Trump. How? He's not even in office no more. The last time he spoke was at CPAC. Before that, when he left office, he didn't do interviews. How the fuck? Why are people still talking about him? He's not even there anymore. And people still want to be talking about him. They just can't get over him. Well, they must be infatuated with him, or they must love Donald Trump because they keep talking about him. He ain't in office. He didn't go and announce that he's running for, was it 2024 or 2025? Well, 2024, because 2025, if he wins it, 2025, he'll be inaugurated. But yeah, he didn't say he was running. He did not openly say at CPAC, I'm running for presidency again. He didn't. So why the fuck are people concerned about him? Get over it. He's not in office anymore. He's not the scapegoat to be blamed for everything now. Right? He's not. But bad shit are still happening in this country, and now I'm going to throw it down, right? When bad shit happened, people were quick to go to the news media and blame former President Trump for it. Bad shit's happening now. They're not going to the news media and blaming President Biden. How one-sided is that? But you know for a fact that if President Trump did win a second term, then the shooting in Georgia would definitely be all over the news, and Trump would have definitely been blamed for all of it. See what I'm saying? People are not being held accountable for their own fucking actions. Let's go with this. I've been going on for a decade or more. Okay. Kids belong with their legal guardian. But Michael, you don't even know if that is their legal guardian. You're assuming because the news tells you that kids are ripped away from their moms and dads and held in cages. Bro, every fucking year. And I know this because I used to work as a corrections officer in the state of Texas, and I've seen people that were locked up. I knew a guy who was connected with La M. Okay. In that prison, he was an enforcer. I ain't going to say his name. Real cool guy because he was very respectful. I had conversations with him. And one of the ways that, the coyotes would smuggle people in, the coyotes would actually claim that they were the parents of kids. They would help get kids in. Like the dad would go first. He would get into the US. He would find a job. He would make money under the table. He would rent an apartment. He would send a letter back. He would send for his wife. His wife would come. Their nana would watch them across the border while the mom got snuck into the country. And she was lucky if she wasn't raped or beaten. If she actually had made it through, she'd make it through, be reunited with her husband, and she would go and get a job, and then they would send for their kids. And the coyote would smuggle their kids through. So you got guys that are not even the parents of these kids claiming to be the parents of these kids because if they get caught, they want to still try to get through. There is cartel dealers who use kids as mules to get shit into this country. So it's not always that, they're taking kids away from their legal guardian. Sometimes the person that they're with really isn't their guardian. Okay, these things are not just imaginary; they happen. And I'm not saying that 100% of the time that they happen, but they do happen. But what do we have in place to know who's who? Because we would still have to contact the Mexican government, their whatever they have set in place for Department of Human Services in their country to try and find out, is this child really the daughter of this person, right? Because we don't have access to their database to know all their citizens inside and out. We don't know that. So take precautions on it, right? That's what they say they're doing. But they're not sending them back over the border. They're not like, okay, we caught them. You're going to stay in this camp for 3 days. And then somebody from your country is going to come and retrieve you and send you back to your family. No, they don't. They're put in these little groups, these little camps. They're being conditioned. They're going to be released into the public. I mean, fuck, they released a bunch of people down here that are now in Tucson, Arizona. Okay, people that came to the border, people that were caught at the border, they were brought in through the border. They were bused to a center where they stayed for like a week, and then they were taken on a bus and they were dropped off in Tucson, Arizona. Just let out there. Go do what you want to do. Let's see. Followers do. Let's see. I am mad at President Biden that he said he wants to loan vaccines to Mexico and Canada. Okay. Why? What's wrong with that? Or loan? If you are a president, a leader with followers, that will do anything anything you, I don't know, re-clarify what you're saying. But I mean, if you're going with the fact that when you are the commander in chief, the president of the United States, the sitting, looked upon as leader of the United States, that people will follow you, not really, because I mean, there was things that he did and people didn't agree with. They still supported him, but they didn't agree with him on everything. Yeah. By the way, the vaccines won't do shit anyways. I'm sorry. You guys might hate me for saying that. The vaccines ain't going to do a damn thing. They're not. Look how much faith they have. I mean, look at what happened to Ted Cruz on the news recently. Yeah, he's about to talk to the news, and the guy tells him he can put his mask on. He said, "No, I'm not putting my mask on. I'm about to talk to the news TV." And the guy's like, "Yeah, well, I don't feel comfortable." So then he told the guy, "Hey, go ahead. You can back up if you want to. I'm not putting a mask on." And then he went on to tell the guy that we've all been vaccinated. But, I mean, people will talk about, well, there's a new strain in Europe and there's a new strain in Brazil. I don't know why people are worried about the Brazilian strain of COVID, because we're letting people from South America in the border. We're not continuing to build border protection to stop people from illegally crossing. I know for a fact that people that were let off in Tucson, they weren't tested. They weren't tested for COVID. They just let them in. If you were a leader with followers, that will do anything. Your typing's off today, Michael. Well, this is the last part. That's totally fine. Some people like Biden, some don't. The same way, like some people like Trump and some don't. But who you voted for shouldn't determine that you break your friendships with somebody else who thinks differently. That's the problem today. Everybody wants to divide today for some reason. They scream unity in the same breath they condemn people, right? If I went ahead and said, hypothetically, that I voted for Trump, how many people would actually fucking hate me for it? How many people would call me racist? How many people would try to condemn me? How many people would say, hey, it's not a bad idea if someone goes and finds out where Tito lives and takes a bat to his head? All because of that. Who gives a fuck what president you voted for? That is your given right as an American citizen for you to vote and choose. No one should control that, and no one should put you in fear of it. If the roles were reversed and people were being hostile towards Biden voters and said that they wanted to eradicate them, I would not stand with anybody. Even if I don't agree with Biden's policies, I wouldn't stand with anybody that would want to go out there and physically hurt people who voted for Biden. Why? Shit. A person that voted for Biden could like Superman comics just as much as I do, could like the character Spawn just as much as I do. And we have more common ground to get along with than something as stupid as, which president did you vote for? Now, okay, so if you're a leader with followers that will do anything, or they will do anything you tell them to do, you are at fault for what your followers did. What did he tell people to do? January 6th, the Capitol was illegal. Sorry. That's why they dropped the charges, right? I mean, it's a hell of a convincing thing. And trust me, I looked into the whole insurrection thing. It's a hell of a convincing thing that you can take a speech that he gave and cut it and splice it to make it sound like he told everyone to not stand for what's going on at Capitol Hill and to go up there and fight. But then you actually watch the real live from beginning to end live stream of his speech, and it was nothing like that. Some fancy fucking editing to spin a different narrative. I'm sorry, Michael. But if you want, maybe you can come on StreamYard with me, not live, just me and you in the backstage area, and I'll pull up the live stream replay of his speech that day on January 6th and watch it from beginning to end with you. Because I've already watched it. You know, and also, if you're going to say that, then what about people like Ilhan Omar? What about Maxine Waters? Do you hold them accountable? What about Nancy Pelosi? What about Chuck Schumer? What about, what's his name? Fat Rick Moranis. What's his name? And yes, I said that. Jerry Nadler. You going to hold them responsible? Because they didn't say things that the news spliced up to cut to make it sound like a narrative. When you have Maxine Waters telling people that those in the Trump administration, when you see them in public, that you push back on them, that you surround them, and you tell them. I mean, come on now. If a guy that works with the Trump administration took his daughter out for ice cream, is it fair for Americans to surround him and scream at him, calling him a racist in front of his little daughter, scaring the shit out of that little girl? Where's the accountability in that? See, I look on both sides of the thing. I look on both sides of the spectrum. You can't just stick to one thing and then call out one person for it, but alleviate everybody else. If you're going to say that he was responsible for January 6th, then I'm going to say Nancy Pelosi is responsible for January 6th because she knew what was going to happen. She knew that something was going to go down there, and yet she didn't even have a National Guard step in. As a matter of fact, her answer was no to deploying National Guard around the Capitol Hill. So all that could have been avoided too. So I hold Nancy Pelosi just as responsible as you're holding Donald Trump. I hold her responsible. See, there's so much things on that political spectrum that people got to think about. It's easy to blame one person for everybody. But Michael, that doesn't take away that people have a choice. If at the time President Trump said and really said to rise up and attack Capitol Hill because they're stealing the election, it's still up to me. I have a choice if I'm going to go there and try to do something, or if I am going to be a mind of my own and not go. Look at the case of Charles Manson and what he died in prison for. Yeah, brainwashing and a cult. Brainwashing and a cult. Okay. A cult-like thing preached in a religious fashion, and then what? He sent people out to do those things. Yeah, what his followers did. Yeah, yeah. It's not that people who supported Donald Trump. It's not brainwash. It's not a cult. Not to that degree. And again, he orchestrated it to a degree. And I will tell you again, Donald Trump didn't tell people to go attack Capitol Hill. Watch the whole fucking live stream. Don't go off of what CNN showed or what Fox News showed, because that is edited, cut up shit. Watch the whole thing from beginning to end. All he said about this nation fight, about that we need to stand up and fight, about our liberties, about our freedoms being taken away. Yeah. Did he say go to the Capitol Hill and attack it right now? So you got to remember, words are power, and words can always be misconstrued, except for when they're definitive. The only time I will hold Donald Trump responsible for January 6th is when someone produces a video that shows him saying, to all my supporters who are standing behind me during this tough time, the election was stolen. And so I want you guys to go to Capitol Hill, and I want you guys to attack Capitol Hill police, and I want you guys to physically assault any congresswoman, congressman that you find. And I want you guys to sit in the chair and take a picture at Nancy Pelosi's desk and steal her computer. Like, it has to be that. Charles Manson orchestrated how they were going to kill those people. It's sad, but I still say that those people who were involved, they need to be punished. Those at the Capitol that did what they did, they need to be punished. They do, because you just can't do that. I will not hold one person responsible and alleviate everybody else from it. You as a person have a choice to make. Just like those people that got arrested under the whole Charles Manson thing, they had a choice. They could have continued to believe in the bullshit that Charles Manson said, or they could have just said, no, I'm not doing it, and laid down their knives and laid down their machetes and walked the fuck away. Today, people need to be responsible for the things that they do. Today. They need to be. All these accusations and pointing fingers at Donald Trump, it's like pointing it at Trump to take the attention off the person that is the guilty one. Don't work that way. Don't work that way. So that is one of my biggest things today, is that people have to take responsibility of their own actions. Cannot just blame one person for it and say because he said something, it made everybody do it. No, people chose to do it. And let's say you're right. Which I'm going to say, I'm not going to agree with that, but I'm just going to say, for your point of view, let's say, like, in your heart of hearts, you believe that he's responsible for January 6th. Why are you only throwing it on him? There are a lot of people involved. Why aren't those people held accountable? Why aren't you holding Nancy Pelosi accountable for not having proper protection at Capitol Hill, knowing that it was going to get violent because of what was about to happen? I saw a few days ago that Biden was talking about January 6th and what happened. But Biden has moved on from January 6th, and most of the country has moved on from January 6th like I have. Yeah. They want that to be a forgotten day. Really, they want that to be a forgotten day because nothing got overturned. Biden stayed president-elect, and then he was inaugurated on January 20th. Of course, they wanted to go. If it had overturned and Trump won presidency for a second term, fuck, we'd be talking about January 6th every day. They definitely didn't blame it on him. Yeah, moved on from that. Right now, it's all about what I'm seeing on what's going on. The whole Andrew Cuomo thing, that's crazy. The whole Yeah, just a president who's not very transparent, one that likes to hide and rehearse his speeches, referring to it as the Biden and Harris administration, and even tapping Vice President Harris to handle a lot of things. That's really odd, in my opinion, for a president to do. But you know what? I'm just going to pray that Biden does a really good job. That's all I'm going to do, is just pray that he's going to do a really good job. Because right now it ain't looking so good. Right now it ain't looking so good. Um, anyways, yeah, that's just me ranting on this thing or whatever. So buttons were missing. It was an inside job. The emergency alarm, panic buttons were missing. I don't know. I didn't hear anything about that. I'll have to look into that. But I mean, my whole thing on that, and I'll keep going back to it, is that you cannot blame one man for the actions of a lot of people. All those people that did those damages, that did things, that attacked people, that hurt people, those that kill people on that day, I feel are the ones that are accountable. They are accountable. You know what I mean? Because I can sit here on YouTube and say, hey, you know what? Taco Bell's better than Del Taco, so go to Del Taco and grab tacos and throw it in the trash. Of course, everyone's thing is like, well, he orchestrated it. He said to do it. Yeah. But isn't that the natural nature, like for any crime? Two guys go into a store and they rob the store. One guy has the gun. He's the one that gets the bag of money and runs out. The other guy's his backup. What happens when the backup gets caught? What's the first thing he says? Well, the guy with the gun told me that we were going to get money. He told me to do it. Nobody wants, that's the natural thing. Nobody wants to take the blame for their own actions. Sure, you were the backup. Sure, you went in there with the guy to rob the store, but you could have stopped it. You could have said, no, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? You could have called 911. Accountability and responsibility. Anyway, that's all I got to say. I'm going to jump off here, but I do appreciate the discussion. Thank you guys for hanging out and chilling with me. For anyone that gets offended by the things that I say, well, grow up, learn that, learn the old saying, you know what I mean? People have opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. My son, he's screaming and laughing. I don't know what my kids are doing, but I want to go hang out with them. We have a dead Capitol police officer. We have a attempted murder on the vice president. On the vice president? I don't think so. Don't believe too much stock that they put out there. But see, it's funny how you said that we have a dead Capitol police officer. We have an attempted murder on the vice president. What about the woman that was there that was a Trump supporter who was killed? You didn't mention her. Did you forget she was killed? She was shot. She was killed. Yes, she was a Trump supporter. See? It's all one-sided. The Capitol police officer, what I call the hoax of the attempt on the vice president's attempted murder or whatever. Someone is at fault. Yes, someone is at fault, Michael. You and I agree. There's our common ground to agree. You know who's at fault? Everybody who participated in that event. Everybody who walked to Capitol Hill and went after people inside there and started destroying property and started breaking into offices and was like acting a fool. They are all responsible for their actions, not one man. And then people like Ocasio-Cortez, who falsifies a fucking lie, saying that, she was trying to flee an angry mob of people who had her surrounded, yet she wasn't even at the Capitol Hill building. She was blocks away where her office is, where they had it protected. Because people didn't go to her office area to go and attack. They went to Capitol Hill, where they were deciding, where they were making that decision of which would determine the presidency. That's funny. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's always a one-sided thought. You didn't even say nothing about the woman that was killed and that they said on the news she was a Trump supporter. She was shot and killed. You didn't bring her up. That's my point. Anyways, I digress for right now. To all the people out there who hate the way that I think, I'd like to thank you guys for taking the opportunity to even give a fuck the way that I think. Appreciate it. For those people who understand where I'm coming from and know that political point of views and religious point of views would never stop you from having a voice here on my channel, I'm glad you guys got the fucking point, and know that you can freely say what you want here on this platform with me. I don't know, but I can't say for anybody else, but here on my channel, you can openly say what you want to say. I have no problems with that. Um, I do want to end it off by telling all of you guys that I love you guys very much. I do. There is a special place in me that I will always remember Gene. I will always remember Michael. I will always remember TJ. I will always remember all of you who came in here. The what's his name? There's one of you guys in here. Oh, the Ish9. Because not a lot of people are willing to have this type of conversation. And that's the whole point about this. We just had a conversation. And Michael didn't say he hates my guts. And I didn't tell Michael I hate him. And Gene didn't say he wishes me dead. But we all just had a little bit of conversation. And this is what I want to get back to, where people can talk and it doesn't lead to anger and stupidity and things like that. So I thank you guys for proving my point. You know what I mean? There are still people in this world that are good. And there are people in this world that could, whether they agree or they disagree, they can agree to disagree and still be friends. So enjoy the rest of your night. Love you guys very much. Be safe out there. And take care of yourselves. All right. Peace.